Inshallah, we're going to have two separate lectures. One will be the main theme, which will be by Stas, our guest speaker. But before that, we would like to have some tilawah from the Quran by one of our youth, Majd. فليتفضل مشكورا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل تعالوا أتل ما حرم ربكم عليكم ألا تشركوا به شيئا وبالوالدين إحسانا ولا تقتلوا أولادكم من إملاق نحن نرزقكم وإياهم ولا تقربوا الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن ولا تقتلوا النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق ذلكم وصاكم به لعلكم تعقلون ولا تقربوا مال اليتيم إلا بالتي هي أحسن حتى يبلغ أشده وأوفوا الكيل والميزان بالقسط لا نكلف نفسا إلا وسعها وإذا قلتم فاعدلوا ولو كان ذا قربى وبعهد الله أوفوا ذلكم وصاكم به لعلكم تذكرون وأن هذا صراطي مستقيما فاتبعوه ولا تتبعوا السبل فتفرق بكم عن سبيله ذلكم وصاكم به لعلكم تتقون ثم آتينا موسى الكتاب تماما على الذي أحسن وتفصيلا لكل شيء وهدى ورحمة لعلهم بلقاء ربهم يؤمنون وهذا كتاب أنزلناه مبارك فاتبعوه واتقوا لعلكم ترحمون أن تقولوا إنما أنزل الكتاب على طائفتين من قبلنا وإن كنا عن دراستهم لغافلين أو تقولوا لو أنا أنزل علينا الكتاب لكنا أهدى منهم فقد جاءكم بينة من ربكم وهدى ورحمة فمن أظلم ممن كذب بآيات الله وصدف عنها سنجزي الذين يصرفون عن آياتنا سوء العذاب بما كانوا يصرفون صدق الله العظيم.
يفتح الله. ما شاء الله عليك. ما شاء الله يا مجد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والثناء لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. As you all know, tonight, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, we have one of our brothers, Jazakallahu khairan, by the name of Stas. But before that, I would like to thank the congregation. Honestly, this is a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we all are here to benefit from the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us chance for. Before our guest speaker begins, I would like to start off, inshallah, with an important message, not only for me but for everybody. As we all know, the prophets were sent to human beings. The prophets were sent to us. Why were they sent to us? That's a question. Yes?
To learn Islam.
MashaAllah. So we can follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that we are in need of Him. There's something that people say and they try to use their mind over the nusus that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us. As you all know, this hadith is a hadith that is sahih. Ali رضي الله عنه قال لو كان الدين بالرأي لكان أسفل الخف أولى بالمسح من أعلاه وقد رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يمسح على ظاهر خفيه. The Prophet Muhammad Ali mentioned that the Prophet Muhammad did something, and the exact hadith is, if the religion were based on opinion, the way I want to see things done, what I think is right? It will be more important to wipe the under part of the shoe or the part of the sock, you understand? Then the upper part, the under part of the shoe, then the upper part, then the upper part. I have seen the Messenger of Allah wiping over the upper part of his shoes. You know, when you have to make wudu, we make wudu, and we want to actually, instead of washing our feet, sometimes what we can do is we can wipe our socks. Al-mashu ala al-khuffayn, right? So do you ask yourself sometimes, why don't we do the bottom? Why do we have to wipe the top? Why do we have to wipe the top? Why don't we do the bottom, since that's where all the dust goes and everything goes? That's not how it works. That's what you think. But what the Prophet did is different. So we have to follow what the Prophet did. So we wipe the top part of the socks, right? The top part of the shoes, and so forth. Is that clear? We had a prophet by the name of Nuh. And he called his people for 950 years. 950 years calling your people. That's a long time. Because I made a mistake before. I thought he lived for 950 years, honestly. But I'd like to correct that. He made da'wah for 950 years. Ask yourselves, how long have you been giving da'wah? How long have I been giving da'wah? And been that patient like him? He was so patient. Sabara kathira. So we require to ask ourselves, what do we learn from the story of Nuh? We learned many things. But one of the things is that we have to be patient when we call to the da'wah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Iblis, you know Iblis?
Yes.
Who is Iblis? Huh? Yes? Is he right?
Yes, he's right.
He is the biggest enemy. Number one enemy is Iblis. Why? Because he wants you to join his group. Because he wants you to lose, like he's going to lose. So that's why he's going to try to make you do different things. But you have to understand that all of these things that he does,
Shaitan is a bad guy.
Shaitan is a bad guy, yes. We told you that before, I think. So we have to be, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, focus on following what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us and the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Inshallah, I'm going to leave the rest to our guest speaker, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So I will request all of the brothers and sisters, inshallah, to pay attention closely. Wa barakallahu feekum wa assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sorry, just 1 second. But now just doesn't matter. Is yours connected? What if you have to, did you do it just now? Like you connected just now? So maybe you try to exit from yours and then like maybe that's why it's not coming up, because It just doesn't we'll just do it in a second. Why is it so well, this is yours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's working now.
Inshallah. Just turn this off and I'll use.
You need some.
Yeah, can you keep it to the sisters?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. So, Jazakallah khair for coming today. So, my name is Stas, and I became a Muslim, as some of you might know, about 5 years ago. And just kind of like a brief background about myself. I'm not a student of knowledge. I'm not a scholar or a sheikh or anything like that. I'm just a local brother. But ever since I became Muslim, and even before I became Muslim, I was really interested in calling others to Islam. Sorry, I don't know. Sorry. Okay, whatever. Which one? Oh, now source. Is it working?
It's good now. Adi, take him in the back.
Okay, sorry. I'm not really used to using this this system. So like I said, even before I became Muslim, I was really interested in calling people to Islam. I wasn't a Muslim yet, but I was already telling people about Islam and telling them about the different evidences and things like that, the things that I found to be amazing about the deen of Islam. And ever since I became Muslim, I jumped right onto this amazing work that everybody should be involved in. And I joined the Muslim Students Association, and I started to sit at the dawah booth that they had, and I tried to do as much as I could. And at the moment right now, before the pandemic, we used to give dawah on White Avenue. Me and a few brothers, we would just have a booth, and then we'd call people to Islam. So I have a little bit of practical experience, and some also just from theoretical, some experience from just studying how to give dawah. And this particular way that I want to show people how to call people to Islam was it's just like a methodology that was made by somebody else, and I'm just trying to present it to people so that they can use it, inshallah. So that's just like a brief introduction. And just to kind of get things off, I wanted to ask people what do they think is the meaning of the word dawah in Arabic? So can anybody give me? Go ahead.
Dawah usually to call people something.
Yeah, call people to call. Any Desi people, any people from India, Pakistan, they should know the word dawat.
Like invite maybe.
Invite, yeah. Go ahead.
دعوة تبليغ.
Yeah, like they're also one. Yeah, so the general meaning of dawah is to invite. That's kind of the general meaning. And another question I wanted to ask is, how do you think people before us used to give dawah? How did they used to call people to Islam? Go ahead.
They used, like Allah used to send prophets
Yeah,
called to Islam.
that's right. Yeah, the prophets used to call people to Islam. Anybody else?
And then like the friends of the prophets used to like help him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's perfect. Go ahead.
Allah would get all the prophets and they would invite us to follow Islam and Allah and His guidance.
That's right. Yeah, Allah guided people to Islam, even without other people calling them to Islam. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it was like just because because they didn't have like phones or anything, so they would actually like go to them and tell them come to Islam and talk to them and all that.
That's right. Yeah, like people, like the Prophet ﷺ used to come in the open, and he used to call people to Islam and things like that. And like Prophet Nuh, and as Sheikh Zakaria mentioned, he also used to do similar things. So people used to call people to Islam both secretly as well as openly in the public. And what do you think is the criteria for the one that's inviting people to Islam? So what do I mean by this is that what are some of the things that the people who call others to Islam, what should they have? Anybody? Go ahead, you.
Like I think they should like a shit. Like they should like know how to invite people.
Yeah, they should have.
What they mean. Like they should have knowledge of what they mean.
Yeah, they should have ilm. They should have knowledge about what they're calling to. If you don't know, then you can't call. Go ahead. I can't hear you. They can be persuasive? Yeah, that's right. They can use different ways to do it. Anything else anybody can mention? Go ahead, you in the middle.
Maybe like give specific evidence and like warn them about Jahannam and stuff, so then like they will become Muslim.
For sure. So some of the things that people who call others to Islam should have would be to have knowledge, because if you don't know what you're saying or what you're calling others to, then you can't call them to Islam. You should first learn and then call people to Islam. Another thing is that they should be a practicing Muslim themselves. If they are not a good example for others, then like they should still be calling people to Islam, but it's not one of the. It's something that's very important. People should be good Muslims, and those are the ones that should be calling others to Islam. And yeah, so they should have knowledge, and they should also be good practicing Muslims. Because like it's kind of contradictory. Like it's kind of funny if for example you drink alcohol and then you're telling people don't drink alcohol. Like you should not do it in the first place. And I have some cool effects here. And a few important things to remember about dawah is that dawah is to invite, not to convert. So the hidayah, the guidance is not with us, it's with Allah. So all we're supposed to do when we call people to Islam is to give them the message and leave the rest to Allah. We're not there to sit there and to force them to become Muslims, because there's no point to do it, and it's not in our hands. That's something that many people have some trouble like understanding sometimes. And every person should be a caller to Islam. Like it's not just reserved to one group, even though like technically we should have one group that calls others to Islam, but at this moment of time, everybody should know how to give da'wah, and everybody should be calling others to Islam. Because we're in a situation where it's something that's almost not done by anybody. Only a few people do it nowadays, and it's not enough. We need everybody to be a da'i, to call people to Islam. So it should be something that the average person can do. And it doesn't require you to go and get a PhD in this. Like it's something that everybody can do. As long as you know one ayah, you can call people to Islam. As long as you know that one ayah very, very well, and you know what you're talking about. And another thing is that it's done upon knowledge and wisdom. Sorry, I put down instead of done. So, like when you call people to Islam, you should be knowledgeable of what you're calling to, and you should do it in a way that people like, and it should be in a way that is wise. So you shouldn't say certain things in a certain context. So with time, people gain wisdom, and then they know what to say when. So every person should have these kind of qualities. Another thing is we follow the way of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions. We don't try to invent some new ways of giving da'wah. We don't try to call people to Islam in a way that they didn't do, because the Prophet ﷺ was chosen by Allah to give and to present the message to us and to the rest of the world. So if he did it a certain way, then that's how we should be following, because he's our example. And we focus on tawheed, on monotheism. This is the main call that we should be calling people to. It doesn't make sense to call people to, for example, for women to wear the hijab if they don't believe in Allah, if they believe that Isa, Jesus alayhi is Allah. It doesn't make sense. You have to put what is most important first. And another thing is people skills. What I mean by this is that people have to have good skills on how to interact with others. Can somebody give me an example of what is a good skill when you're talking to others? So you go ahead.
Like trying to be nice to them and like not trying to be mean instantly.
So how would you be nice to them? Can you give an example?
If you're talking to someone, you're like, hi, what's your name? Like give an introduction, not exactly go into the subject, so then they might feel like it's a bit rude.
That's true, yeah. You don't want to just jump straight into it. You want to first maybe tell them your name, where you're from. Yeah, go ahead.
I think like you have to have like good like words and like make it easy for them to understand, like put it in a simple way. Because if you like don't know how to present it good, then you won't be able to like understand it just as well.
That's very true. Go ahead.
Speak quietly and like do not yell, because if you yell, they're gonna like say if Muslims are like yelling and they're like acting bad to people, then I do not want to be one of them. But if you act nicely, I'm like, I want to be like a Muslim who talks good.
I think everybody has met some person who is very gentle and he talks quietly and like very calm. So you want to be like that, because people are more likely to listen to you. So the one next to you, go ahead.
So like, don't shout at them. It's because if you shout at them, they will think like this. It would be not respectful. So then after they won't be in Islam. So
It's a very good point. Yeah, don't want to yell at them for sure. In the back.
Don't lie about what you're saying, and also have good social skills. If you're shy, like maybe you should, like you could still call people to Islam.
Yeah, like if people don't want to, like when they see that you're a liar, that you're a bad person, they're not going to want to become, to accept Islam, because they're going to think that this is what Islam calls to, even though it doesn't. And also an important thing is that you don't want to displease Allah in the process of trying to please Him. So if, for example, you're calling a woman to Islam, you don't want to shake her hand, because like that's haram. So like just to make her happy. Yeah, go ahead.
Be confident.
Be confident? Yeah, you want people to see that you're confident. Go ahead.
To mention evidence that this is the true religion.
That's right, yeah. You have to be done upon knowledge, upon evidences. And I think last one here. Sorry. Sorry?
Not bribe them.
Do not bribe them, yeah, for sure. But like, sometimes you can give them like a gift, you can do something nice to them. Yeah, so, but sometimes people will notice that you're trying to bribe them. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
You have to sit and you have to act respectfully, you have to sit respectfully and everything like that.
You don't want to present yourself as an arrogant person or anything like that. You want to have a good presentation.
You don't scream in their faces or call them names.
Yeah, these are all excellent qualities. Thank you very much. So I'll just go ahead right into the method that I'm going to be presenting, inshallah. So it's called the GORAP method. Each letter has a certain meaning to it, and we'll find out as we go along. But it's just like a very good acronym to remember. So when you're giving dawah, just remember GORAP. And one thing to remember is that it's not the only way to give dawah, but as far as I have seen, as far as others have seen, this is the most effective. It's the best way that we can think of right now of how to call people to Islam. And it was introduced by this one organization called OIAC. You might be familiar with them. They're an organization in the UK, and they're doing a lot of great work, mashallah. They go around the world, they call people to Islam, and whole villages, like people that are very far from any cities, the whole city, the whole village will become Muslim by the will of Allah, thanks to these brothers. And Abdurrahim Green is the main one who kind of like leads this organization, as far as I know. And the whole method, it takes a person on a journey, so it's not something that's just done within like 1 minute or anything like that. It's a process. So it takes them on kind of like a journey where the people are supposed to be thinking and pondering about certain things. And it's something that's done step by step. So just like as, for example, the Quran was revealed in stages, and many of the different prohibitions, like, for example, the alcohol, it wasn't illegal right away. It was done step by step. So in a similar way, we want to take the non-Muslims step by step when we're calling them. So you focus on the most important, and then you go on top of that. We'll answer questions at the end. Just save that for now. And a few things to consider before giving dawah. So one thing that we want to avoid is using biblical texts as much as possible. So does anybody know what the Bible is? Yeah, go ahead.
It's like, I think they call it like the New Testament or something, and it's what the Christians kind of believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
it was revealed upon Prophet Isa.
So the Bible as we have it right now was not revealed.
Like,
But yeah,
originally,
Injil.
but then they changed it.
That's right, yeah. But the Bible as we know it right now is not the true revelation.
We have the girls over here.
The girl, yeah, go ahead. The Old Testament, that's right. Do you know who believes in the Old Testament? Who follows it the most? Yeah, the girl. Somebody can try again. So I'll let this guy go on. Go ahead. Sorry? The Jews, right? The Yehud. They're the ones who follow the Old Testament. And like he said, the New Testament is followed by the Christians. You can go ahead.
The Bible is just like the Christian, like, it's just like Christian Quran.
Yeah, like
yeah, but they changed it. They changed it a lot.
that's right. It's the book of the Christians and the Jews, but generally, like the Bible, when it's used in that word, is used for the Christians. Yeah, go ahead.
Like they changed some stuff in it. Like they never changed the whole Bible, while some stuff like names of stuff, like the Dajjal, they call it like something, and instead of the mark of kafir that only the Muslims and Mu'mins can see, they see the mark is 666.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the 666, but for sure, like some things are true in the Bible and some things are false, so we don't want to accept all of it. Our criteria, the thing that we use to tell what is right, what is wrong, is the Quran and the Sunnah. So I'll just go to the next point. Another thing to consider is that we agree upon common sense and logic before we go into everything else. So I'm just going to get one person to say. Does anybody know what common sense and logic is? You go ahead.
Common sense is pretty much like your common sense is telling you like this person maybe wants to make friends with you or something.
Yeah, not exactly. We'll just try one more. Ali, I think.
Common sense is something like usual that you can see with your eyes. Like, for example, like you can say that something is not common sense if it's not like it just doesn't make sense to the human.
Like if I told you that I have a circular square, your common sense would tell you that's impossible because a square has 4 edges and a circle has no edges, so you can't have both at the same time. So it's something that's common to everybody. We all have common sense. So this is something that we should be using when we're giving dawah. And another thing is we start with the basics. You don't want to just jump straight into hadith or jump into, I don't know, something that's very complex, something like fiqh or something that's not beneficial for them to know. We need to start with the most basic things. And we should also avoid minor issues like eating pork, alcohol, taking loans, etc. Although there is some benefit in explain to them why these things are prohibited, why they're not allowed in Islam. It's not the main. It's not the main thing that we should be calling them to. And when a question is asked, briefly answer it and take them back to the main topic. So maybe I'm not sure if someone will be able to answer it, but does anybody remember what I think Yusuf alayhi salam did when somebody was asked to interpret a dream? I just want to ask the girl in the back.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah, sure. I can't hear it. So the question was, when Yusuf alayhi salam, when he was asked to interpret a dream when he was in prison, what did he do? Did he answer right away?
No.
Okay, what did he do?
He didn't answer it right away.
If you don't remember, that's okay. But that's very good. Go ahead. So right before he answered the interpretation, he first called them to Allah. He gave like a description about Allah, and then he answered the question after that. So that's something that you want to do. Like, sorry, just one second. I don't want to spend too much time on just on the answers. So we don't want to just to jump and go into too much detail when we're asked a question. We answer it quickly and then we go back to what's important. And like I said, we have to have good manners. So things like shaking hands with the same gender, smiling, having a small talk, like just talking about the weather or whatever it might be. These are very good things that we should have, and we should do it sometimes before we give dawah, just to kind of make it comfortable for them. So the way that we start the conversation, it can be done either slowly or right away. So either you can first talk to them about work, about the weather, whatever it might be, and then you just kind of slowly take it into it. You try to bring up something that would lead us to talking about Allah and about religion and spirituality and things like that. Or you can just ask them right away. Like sometimes at work, I ask the person, what do you think is going to happen after death? What do you think is going to happen if you die today? I just shock them right away, and I want to see their reaction. I want to see how they're going to answer. And like I said, we use common sense and logic. Sorry. And we try to relate to them with everyday topics. So like I said, everybody talks about the weather, how cold it is in Edmonton. So you can just ask them, like, who do you think created all these systems that control the weather? Who do you think was the one who put them in place? So just things that are common to everybody that you can easily talk to them about. And the conversation. One thing that's very important to make it clear is that feelings are not absolute, because I have my own feelings, you have your own feelings, so I don't know what your feelings are like. So we should go back to something that everybody can see and everybody can think about. So when you usually talk to other people, they're going to tell you, I'm a Christian because I saw some dream where Jesus came to me, blah, blah, blah. But then you don't know if that happened. Maybe he's lying. Maybe he didn't see that. So we don't want to rely on things that are what we call subjective. There are things that I don't know if they're true or not. So we should go back to things that are that everybody can know. Like I said, like the common sense, using our logic. And objectivity is the most important. Things that are not like feelings. Another thing that we have to remember and to let them know that all religions cannot be true, because each religion says different things, and they say different things in the very core, the very fundamental, the most important parts, like Allah. The Hindus believe in many, many gods. The Christians believe in 3 gods, and so on. The Buddhists don't believe in God. So it's impossible that all of the religions are true, because they're all different, and they call to different things. So there has to be only one religion that is sent by Allah and that is true. And we need to have evidences and reason for why you believe in something. So if somebody says, I believe that my name is Stas, you have to say, why do you believe in that? Like, you have to have a reason.
Because your mom called you that?
Yeah, you can give, that's a good reason. Or maybe it's on your passport or whatever. Another thing is that we agree on common sense. This is the most, this is something that I want everybody to take home with. This is what you should be using with everybody. You should be using common sense, the aql, the logic. And another thing that you can use when you talk to them is to ask them a question. If somebody came to your door asking to check your gas meter, and maybe this person looks like some gangster, he has like his pants down, he has tattoos, he has all these crazy things, maybe he has a gun on the side, would you let him to your house and check your gas meter? Everybody will say no, so you have to ask them why. What do you use to determine that? To know that you shouldn't be doing that, which is the common sense, like I mentioned. Go ahead.
You can't just read their mind and see if they're a robber or no.
No, you can't read their mind. If you did, it would be a lot easier. And one thing to ask them is, like, we use reasoning for everything, so why can't we use reasoning when it comes to God, when it comes to knowing whether there is a God or not? So for example, when you're crossing the street, you use your reasoning to be able to look to the left or the right because you know you can get hit. You use reasoning for many different things. So you should be able to do the same thing when it comes to
Allah or like
to knowing whether there is a creator or not. Like it's something that's very basic to human beings. So the first letter of the GORAP method is G, which stands for God. And the question that surrounds it is, how can we prove that He exists? So can somebody give me a reason of how we can know that Allah exists? Ali, go ahead.
We have to give more chance for the girls.
Okay, sorry, I can't see from far. Yeah, go ahead, the sisters. Go.
For you.
Sorry? That's right, the Quran, the revelation that Allah gave us. Anything else? Okay. Sorry, 1 second. There in the back. That's right. Yeah, like for every prophet or messenger, there was a miracle that they were given, so that they could show to the people that they are indeed from Allah. So the one next to Ali, or no, Majid, sorry.
I guess you can cancel out other gods. So I mean, if you talk to a person who believes in a lot of gods, like if they believe in statues, you could just tell them that statues are made from stone, they don't exist, and it's just unlogical.
That's right. Yeah, you used the common sense.
The girl.
Okay, sorry, the girl first.
Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't die in the war, and like for the Christians, they say that Prophet Teresa is like dead.
I didn't exactly understand. I'm sorry. Yeah, like how can you know that there is a creator? So, sorry, I didn't really understand.
My friend told me like that she's a Christian, and she's telling me that her God is dead.
Okay, yeah, so something, that's a very good point, yeah, now I understand. Like, common sense, how can you say that God died? It's something that goes against the logic. One more. So you in the back there?
Because we're alive, it's not like we came here by accident. Because imagine a spoon inside the drawer. How does it go all the way on the counter by accident?
That's right, yeah, like there'll be a good story I'm going to tell you, but just imagine that all of these things, all of you guys just came here just by yourself. You didn't walk here, you didn't drive here, you just appeared here. It doesn't make any sense. Sorry, just 1 second, I just need to continue, I don't want to take too much time. So the first one that we can use is the evidence of design. When you see design, it indicates a designer. When you see a foot, like a footprint on the beach, you're going to think that there was a human being that walked on the beach and he made that, or he or she made that footprint. You're not going to think that some rocks came, they washed up from the water and then they made that footprint. It doesn't make sense. So when we see design, we're going to assume that somebody made that. Another thing is, like, if you see a car, you're not going to think that that car just, came into existence by nature, or that the metal somehow created itself. It just doesn't make any sense. If we see order, we think that somebody must have ordered it. So like you see, like for example, all the Qur'ans on the bookshelf, they couldn't like if we just left a box of Qur'ans, they wouldn't just be able to arrange themselves like that. If there's order, somebody had to order it. There had to be someone behind it. So when we look into
like they
into
ordered
the
it
universe,
from Amazon.
yeah. When we look into the universe, we see order, we see design, we see that, for example, within us, we have systems. They use the word system. We have the digestive system, all these different systems. So somebody had to create it and to order it. Another argument is that of causality. So everything has a cause in the universe. I can't remember the verse from the Quran. I had it on my computer, but it says, or was everything created out just by itself, out of nothing? Sorry, was it created out of nothing? If you have nothing, something cannot come out of it. If I have $0, I can't give you anything because I don't have it. So if there is nothing, it can't create itself. It can't come into existence just by itself. There has to be a creator to create everything. And this creator has to be without time. This creator does not have to have a beginning or an end. Because if that creator has a beginning, then it's gonna have another creator behind it. So we need to have someone to create everything. And then one argument that's very commonly used is the watchtower argument. If, for example, you found a phone in the desert, and for example it was the new iPhone 12, you're going to think, mashallah, this is a nice phone. I wonder what company created it. Maybe it was Apple, somebody else. Like, you're going to think that somebody had to create it. And you're not going to think that, for example, the oil from the earth was heated up with some lightning, and then the metals somehow came, and the lightning created the sand into glass, and then that just formed by itself into a phone.
It'll just turn into a rock.
Yeah, it's not possible. So when we also look into the universe, we see the qualities that Allah has. So, for example, when we look into the universe, we see wisdom, we see intelligence, and this reflects on Allah. That we see that Allah, we know that Allah is wise. We know that He's intelligent and things like that. We see mercy amongst people, amongst animals, and we can know that Allah is also merciful. The second letter of the Gorab is O, which stands for oneness. So you don't want to move to this until you establish to the person, which are usually, they're called the atheists, the people that don't believe in God, they don't believe in a creator. So once you establish that there has to be a creator, there has to be a God, you have to go to the next stage, which is making sure that they believe in one God and one God only. So for example, the Christians, they say we believe in God, we believe in one God, but they also add another thing. They say that we believe in three gods.
Wait,
yeah?
There's a ayah from the Quran. It said if there is more than one God, the whole earth will break, because one of the gods, for example, will put one day want to change the direction of the sun, and then closer to the earth, and then we would all be burning up.
Yeah, I think from what I remember, there's an ayah in the Quran that says that if there were multiple gods, at the end there will be one God. Like one God will destroy the others, and then you'll end up with one God. So at the end of the day, even if there are multiple gods, you still have to end up with one, because one would be stronger than the other. Yeah, you go ahead.
I still don't know what you're saying.
You don't know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm saying that when you talk to people about Islam, you should first talk to them about Allah, of whether they believe in Allah. And then the next step is you talk about Tawheed, oneness of Allah. Okay? And so one thing that I mentioned about the Christians is that they say we believe in one God, but they also say three. So one and three cannot be the same. Like, you can't have three gods and still have one, because at the end of the day, each one of them is going to be a god, and no matter what you try to do, you can't make it into one. It's either going to be three parts, or they're going to be three gods, or something else. They cannot be one. So this is something that when you talk to the Christians, which are going to be the majority of the people that you talk to, you want to emphasize that. And like the brother here mentioned, is that if there were multiple gods, they would fight, and then you would end up with one God. And like I mentioned earlier, you can't have a circular square. So you want to use, like I said, logic and reasoning when you're talking to them. This is something that is common to all people. And then,
that's the only thing I'm starting thinking about.
yeah, go ahead, Ali.
What is the circle square? What the thing that you said after you said common sense? What was that word?
What was the word after common sense?
Yeah, no, before I mean.
Logic.
I think it's circle something.
Circular square. Like if you want to kind of show them what you mean by it, you would say that it's impossible that you have a circular square. In the same way, you can't have...
No, I mean, what does circle square mean?
It's a metaphor.
Yeah, like it's something that's impossible. You can't have a circular square.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, you go ahead, brother.
I have a question. This is actually the hardest one to convince people about.
Tawheed, yeah.
Yeah, because how can you convince people that there is only one designer or one creator of this world?
Yeah.
Why
So
not 3? Why not 4? Why not 2? So what is from your experience? So
I
what's
got
the
a
most
circular
powerful way
square.
to convince people that there's only one creator in this world?
yeah, this is probably the point that, like you said, we should be spending the most time on. So like at least the majority of the people that you talk to, they're going to be Christians. So when you talk to them, you can ask them, how can you have a human being and a God? Because the two things, they're contradicting, they're different from each other. A human being doesn't know everything. A human being goes to the bathroom. A human being, when he's born, he needs to be fed, he needs to have things done for him. But when you talk to the average person, when you ask them who is God, what do you think of God is, they would say that God is all-knowing, all-seeing, all-hearing. You have to kind of make them agree to some of these basic things. Like you can ask them, like, is it possible that God, who is the owner of the whole universe, does it make sense that he would come here and then go use the toilet? Does it make sense that this God would would have his mother feed him some food or something like that, like maybe change his diaper? Like it just doesn't make sense. So the majority is going to be for the Christians. So you want to kind of like go around this kind of area. You're not going to encounter too many other people. The most other ideologies is going to be atheism and Christianity, like at least from my experience. So if you master both of those, it's going to be a lot easier. You go ahead in the back.
Like, this is my question about, like, the 3 gods, like, how, like, us Muslims are because if Christians are saying that there's 3 gods, like, you know how Muslims are introduced to the prophets and prophets as prayers and the principle of Allah and this God. If they say there's 3 gods, how were they introduced? Like, how do we know, like, that it exists?
How do we know that the Trinity existed?
Yeah, like, how are, like,
They like,
how do they know they exist?
No, he's saying that how did he know that they existed? Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduced himself in the Quran.
Yeah.
None of them are introduced actually. So how do the Christians made up that they exist?
How did they make up 3 gods?
no, like,
how
they,
did they,
I don't know. Anyways,
they believe in the angel Jibril and then Allah and then Jesus.
yeah. If you look, for example, when it comes to the Christians, when you look at the Old Testament, which is, like we said, the book that the Jewish people believe in, and that's the one that they follow, they don't believe in the New Testament. In that Bible, in that book, you would not find anything that tells you that God is 3. It always says that there is one God, that like, oh, hear, O children of Israel, your Lord is one. So it's very, very simple, and like this whole thing was introduced later on. I don't have much of an evidence for it.
For the question, can we hold it back?
Hold the question.
After.
Yeah, inshallah we'll do the questions after. It's just
We'll have an opening question.
we don't have too much time.
Yeah, we're gonna open platform for the question as soon as he's done. Okay.
God exists, but I just want to have fun.
So the next,
As soon as he's done, we're gonna open.
after O, we have R, which is Revelation, and then like R-A-P, which is rap. So R and P, Revelation and prophethood. So one common thing that you're gonna get people saying is that God exists, but I just want to have fun. So like people after they tell you that God exists, they're going to tell you, yeah, okay, like that makes sense, but I just want to have fun, I just want to enjoy myself, and then, you know, when I die, maybe then I'll know what's going to happen after my death. But it's very important for, and I'm telling you, I'm not kidding, I've heard people say this, and it's very, very common. You want to emphasize that there has to be something after death, because when you talk about the Creator, you establish that the Creator, Allah, is wise, that He wouldn't create everything just like that, just for nothing, just for us to have fun, and then when we die, we would just turn to dust. It doesn't make sense. We know that Allah is wise, so He would create us for a special purpose. There would be a reason for us. So this is something that we can use to answer them. So everything in life has a purpose, and so do you. Even the most basic, you know, things that you can go and buy for 50 cents at Dollarama, it has a purpose, like the pen. The purpose of the pen is to write. The purpose of the car is to drive it, to take you to different places. Everything that we know of in this world has a purpose. Even what we have on our body, the eyebrows, they prevent the sweat from going into your eyes. So everything that we see around us, it has a purpose. And even the scientists, the people who study nature, they say that there is a purpose to everything that we have. And one thing to emphasize is that death is undeniable. So what will happen after it? Nobody will deny death. We'll keep the questions after, okay? So death is something that nobody will deny. Everybody knows we're going to die. So we have to ask them what's going to happen after it. Like, what if Jahannam, hellfire exists? Are you willing to take the risk of going to hellfire just so you can have a little bit of fun for a few years? It's something that will get people thinking, and especially if they're closer towards the end of their life, it's something that we need to emphasize. And just to the average person should also think about it, because it's very important. One thing that we know is that there is evil in the world, so there has to be an explanation as to why there is evil in the world. Why did Allah allow evil to exist in the world? And one also a thing, which is not the most important, but it's that of morality, of knowing what is right and what is wrong. If you don't believe in Allah, if you don't have a deen, a religion, then right and wrong can change. Today, maybe one thing can be good, and then the next day it can be bad. So just like you've seen in this society, one thing one day is right, the next day is wrong. So we need to have a religion to know what we should follow and what is right and what is wrong. One thing that people always go to is science. We know that science can give us some answers, but it can't give you the answers of what's going to happen after death. It can't give you all of these answers. It can't tell you what is right and what is wrong. So we need to have Allah, who created us, who knows what's best for us, to tell us why we are here, what is the purpose of life, and how we can go about in this life. And lastly, Allah sent messengers to explain things to us. So, and Allah gave evidences, He gave miracles to the prophets, so that those people that they were invited to, then they would know that this prophet is a real prophet, and then it's up to them to make the decision. I think
you forgot the A. That's before the P.
So A just stands for and. Yeah. And the important question that Ali asked me last time I gave the presentation was, like, we know that there were miracles done by all the previous prophets, like, for example, Musa alayhi salam split the sea, Isa gave life to the deaf, and all these kind of things. But what about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Just recently I was reading the hadith that the prophets and messengers were given miracles, and the miracle of for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the Quran, and that he hopes that because of this, more people would follow his message. So when we want to present some evidences to people about the truth, the haqq of Islam, is the Quran. You can ask anybody to read it, and they would see that this is from Allah. This is not a book that's written by a human being. Another thing is that the Quran was preserved. Until today, Muslims and non-Muslims, we both agree that the Quran was not changed. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows that there's only one copy, unlike the Bible, which has over 50 different versions that are all different. So these are some of the evidences that we can give. And I will leave these kind of things for you to go and to figure out and to kind of learn more. So if there is a machine, there has to be a manual. If Allah created us, He will leave us with instructions on how we should live our life. And then once you get the Shahada, this is a little bit simpler. And once you get there, it's just a matter of time of getting them to agree upon the 5 pillars of Islam and the 6 articles. If they accept all these kind of things, then you can tell them that they can say the Shahada, and then they'll enter Islam through it. And then you need to make sure that they don't believe that Jesus is God, that Islam is true, and that they want to do it. Don't wait until Jummah. If they believe Islam is the truth, and they want to become Muslim, let them do it. The reason why I say this is because I had a brother in Winnipeg who wanted to become Muslim, and I didn't know I could just do it over the phone, so I told him to go to the masjid. And the imam said, come back to me on Friday, and then you can do it in front of everybody. And he tried to come on another day that was not Friday, he wasn't able to do it. And it just kept going on for like multiple weeks. So don't wait, because we can die. We can die tomorrow, we can die today, we don't know. And the Shahada is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. If they testify to these 2 things, and they believe in it, then they are Muslim. And a few resources you can go to is YouTube, and you can just type in Go Rap, this same method that I'm talking about. Go on YouTube, and there is a series, it's like 6 videos, you can watch it, and you can get more information. You can go to a website called onewaytoparadise.net. It has a lot of videos you can download and listen when you're in the car or at work, whatever it might be. Also memorize a few of the verses in Arabic, and also know their meaning in Urdu and English, whatever language you're going to be using to talk to them, because you have to be able to explain to them what this verse means. And then now, inshallah, we'll have the questions. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, because we're running of the time. You know, we're going to open platform for the question. It is allowed just about 5 to 10 questions in math. But we're going to split. I need the girls as well to have the questions, you know, all the boys. The sheikh is going to choose who's going. But remember, your question has to be related to the topic. Okay?
It has to be a question, not a statement.
Yeah, question related to the topic.
Any of the girls?